Have you ever tried to give somebody a real shot? Like for real, like a real shot. Push past the physical stuff of how they look because you have a certain type maybe. You ignore that little voice in your gut that's telling you, girl, stop being picky. Only to find yourself months down the line still feeling the same way. Now you emotionally drained. Now you mentally over it. And you still not moved. We're going to talk about it. Hey guys, and welcome back to Her Revision Podcast, the podcast for women who are rewriting the stories that they tell themselves and that the world tells them. And I'm going to talk about something that I don't normally talk about on my podcast, and it's about dating. Y'all, we're going to talk about this guy that I was dating. I'm not going to mention him by name because I am a fan of privacy and growth. So we're going to name him Marcus. Now, off rip, Marcus was not my usual type. I won't lie to y'all. He was not. Physically, it wasn't an instant pull. And I'm somebody that naturally wants to feel like an initial connection with my person. Physically, and I don't know what it is with short girls, because I'm short, y'all. I don't know what it is with short girls and like taller guys. And I don't even want you to be a skyscraper. I want to put on heels and look up at you. But anyways, that wasn't there for me, and his energy wasn't something that I normally gravitate toward, and I just wasn't feeling the immediate spark. Bottom line is I wasn't. But then you talk to your friends, and then your inner voice starts talking to you, and I'm just like, be real with yourself for a second, Jazz. You said you want something real, but you keep chasing what looks good. Maybe this is different. Maybe you being shallow and it's time to grow up. And I know that I had that inner conversation with myself, and that's what made me like push past all of that. Like, keep going. Like, stop. You don't know. So I humbled myself. And I told myself, let your guard down just a little bit. Don't block your blessings just because it doesn't come in the usual packaging, because you just never know, y'all. And to be fair, Marcus was not a terrible person at all. He was very consistent in some ways that I admired and I hadn't seen in a long time in men. He did show that he cared. And when I opened up about certain situations that had happened to me, he made space for me. He created space for me to feel safe. And he was gentle in those moments. And I appreciated that a lot. And that is one of the things that I truly do seek when I'm interested in somebody. Like, how are you creating emotional space for me to express myself, and vice versa? But then what I did realize, and what I'm realizing now, and for anybody that's listening, care in hard moments doesn't always mean compatibility in daily life, in your day-to-day, conversations. Just because somebody cares does not mean that's your person. They just may have a good, empathetic side to them. And that's wonderful, sweetheart. But it is not the essence of what you need or what you should only look for in a relationship. And I had to tell myself that, yes, it's good that he cares, but what else? What else? I'm not going to lie to y'all. I tried. I really did. I tried to lean in. I told myself that this is what healing feels like. It's not supposed to be fireworks all the time. I had to get out of the mindset that, I was supposed to feel like Cinderella. Because if it's one thing Jazz going to do, she going to romanticize some love, honey. She's going to romanticize. And I have been somebody that was conditioned early on to just love it when a guy showed it immediately. Most of my exes, that was our narrative. Love bombing was, child, the things that I had to heal from, child. Love bombing was one of them. But I felt like I was trying to convince myself for this relationship, because even when he was doing the right things, I didn't feel drawn in. I didn't miss him when we didn't talk. Honestly, I was cool. You get what I'm saying? I didn't look forward to hearing from him the way that I wanted to. And I was trying to tap in with myself. Like, Jazz, why is that? And I'm not going to lie, there is a quiet shame that comes with that, because you start to wonder, like, is there something wrong with me? Am I sabotaging something that is good? And I remember him telling me, I think at one point when I was like, I don't know if this is working for me. And he was like, I'm not going to lie, you have a good guy in front of you, and, you're still going to sabotage. And rightfully so. That could be the case sometimes. But don't let a man make you feel like, child. Anyways, let's keep going. I'm going to call it what it was. I wasn't being met. That inner tug that I kept ignoring, that was my intuition saying that this isn't my person. And sometimes we ignore that intuition because we feel shame in admitting the fact that somebody that seems good enough isn't good enough for you. And that can be a hard pill to swallow. And I get that. But when I step back, and even in the midst of me dating this person, I realized that there were small things that kept reoccurring that I always had an issue with, or that just wasn't sitting right with me. And I could not ignore them. And I'm going to give y'all a few examples. And I don't know if this ever has happened to y'all when dating somebody, but Marcus was a clean freak to the point where I did not feel welcomed in his space. It is one thing to be neat or to be a germaphobe, because everybody has their personal or their internal thing. There's another thing to make somebody feel like a guest in a place that they are supposed to be comfortable. And I felt like that. And it was an unsettling feeling. And there are sometimes little nuances when dating that you have to be real with yourself on if you're going to be able to put up with. Sometimes that we complain about things over and over again. Like, okay, are you going to be able to put up with this? Or are you just going to keep talking about it and complaining about it? You got to choose a struggle. Choose a side. There was also, like, for me personally, there was this performative tough guy thing. I don't know what it is with men and like their proximity to the hood, y'all. But I just can't. I cannot date no guy that, like, cause who are you performing for, sweetheart? I don't care what side of town you from. I don't care what your friends used to do. I don't care what you used to, what type of man you was in high school. It's kind of an ick when a man tries to prove to me how tough he was or what he knows. Ooh, it's an ick. It's an ick. It's an ick. Anyways, I feel like I am someone now who, like, I want my guy to be somebody who just naturally has, you know, a protective side to him, but in a way where it's just like he don't have to put on. If a man got to put on, he's not like that. And that's why I stay in bookland, because my book boyfriend, okay, I'm getting sidetracked, but my book boyfriends never have to put on. Anyways, to me, it gave insecurity and it didn't give depth. And it is something that I didn't care for. Two of the real issues, I should say, came with the fact that I have a male best friend. And if anybody has ever been in this situation, I know that there's like this dialogue and this conversation around opposite sex friendships, and I get it. But y'all, quite frankly, I'm 30. And I'm not even going to say it's because I'm 30, but at some point we have to be real enough in our society to know, to understand that not everybody is so fucking hypersexualized. Not everything is hypersexualized. Not every friendship that has to do with the opposite sex is based off of sex or feelings for each other. Like, please, can we just grow up just a little bit? And it's not necessarily, you know, what he said, because he did voice to me that it was weird to him that he didn't really do all the male best friend stuff, and he didn't really like his significant other to have best friends of the opposite sex. And I'm not gonna lie and say that I'm just like, I don't understand. I get it. Like, I get it. But I was at a point where I did not want to explain why I had people in my life before you. I don't want to have to shrink myself to make you feel secure. I can reassure you, but I'm not about to minimize, you know, the people in my life or situations that whatever the case may be, because you feel some type of way. That's not partnership. That's control, dressed in discomfort. You'd rather me police what I talk about or how I express myself or my experiences or my relationships to make you feel like you're secure. And it's gross to me. And the biggest thing and the biggest reason why I was just like, Jazz, the biggest thing and one of the main reasons why I was just like, not only did you not feel like this was your person, but you're making excuses, is that we was always in conflict resolution mode. I don't know if you guys have dated somebody or are currently dating somebody like this, but every week, I kid y'all not, there was another long drawn out conversation about communication styles or tones or misinterpretations. And I get it. And something that we did agree on is that healthy relationships and healthy couples talk through things. But if I'm meeting somebody and, I'm trying to get to know somebody for the first time, It should not always be like this, okay? We're not building peace at this point. We're not getting to know each other. We're managing tension. And I remember at one point I was telling him, it feels like we're not getting to know each other. There's no ease and there's no peace in this. It feels like we're in couples therapy every other week just to have basic connection. I should not be in couples therapy with somebody that I'm getting to know, that I didn't know before. Why? That's not building, you feel me, a bond. That's emotional labor. And I'm tired. Child, I'm tired. And if you have experienced somebody like that, it can be draining. I think I'm at the point in my life when it comes to dating, and that's why I'm not in a rush, y'all. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not in a rush to date, because when I do decide to get back out there, I want it to feel easy. And I'm not saying that relationships are going to be always flowing, or if there's any tension that I'm going to get out of Dodge, but there has to be balance and it has to make sense. I should not be fighting to make the puzzle pieces fit. You get what I'm saying? If the puzzle don't match the picture, then you probably picked up the wrong box. And when I finally told Marcus that I don't think that we should keep going, that I'm not sure that we are compatible for each other, that I don't feel like the chemistry is there as much as I would like it to be, it's not. He hit me with I was just starting to work on things. Like, I'm trying to fix what you told me you didn't like. Like, we just got to keep going to make the chemistry better. I was getting there, and I'm not going to lie, it hit me. And when you're somebody that has people-pleasing tendencies, you have to be able to identify that sometimes you will have those moments where you start to wonder, did I leave too soon? Am I giving up too soon? Did I not give them enough time to prove to me? Am I a quitter? Because I've been there, and I know that you have to find that balance between whether you're quitting too soon or whether you are actually draining and it's just not a right fit. And I had to talk to God about it, y'all. And sometimes we be dealing with these people and these relationships, and we don't bring God into our psyche when we're battling with this mentally. Because he will give you peace and clarity. He'll let you know immediately. No, either immediately, or if you sit silently enough, he'll show you why this isn't your person. And the truth was, I was drained. And if you have to deal with somebody that's just now starting to work on things when you're trying to pack your emotional bags, no. And the guilt does hit you hard, because people love to remind you of your past. People love to remind you of your past. And I said this in the last episode when I discussed people holding you to a standard of who you used to be. And I used to be somebody that was very picky. I'm not going to lie. Somebody that was very picky, that found a reason to not give certain guys a chance, whether it was something physically that I didn't like, or he did something immediate and I was just like, ick. And I did have, I don't want to call it a stigma, but I did have, certain ways about me where I never, quote unquote, gave men a chance, or people told me you're going to regret leaving somebody who actually tried. And there is a guilt that is attached to that. There is shame that is attached to that. But none of those people were sitting in my body feeling the way that I felt. Nobody had to experience the level of emotional heaviness that sits with making or making a wrong decision with a partner, or having this emotional battle with yourself where, okay, maybe I need to stay, and then you convincing yourself to stay, but you know internally that you're shrinking your intuition, that you're silencing your discomfort to make it look good on the outside. Nobody has to sit with that. And if I stayed, that guilt would have turned into resentment, and not even just resentment toward him, but resentment toward myself. I'm trying to force it to be something. Why? And something about that just does not sit right with myself. Trying to force yourself to sit in something just to prove a point to who? The people around you that don't have to live with the feelings and the decisions that you make for your life. So let me just say this. If you are in a similar situation, or you had to deal with something like this, I got you. If you're with somebody who's doing, quote unquote, the right things, but you still feel unsettled. If you're with somebody and it feels like a lot more struggle than comfort, a lot more conflict than resolution, you get what I'm saying? You're not crazy. You're not sabotaging. You're sensing misalignment. You're seeing that things they're not clicking the way that they should be. And a man does not have to be a walking red flag for you to decide that this isn't for you. You are allowed to walk away. And that's something that I had to remind myself and parent myself into saying you are allowed to walk away even if he isn't outright a bad person. And I used to stay in situations because I'm just like, well, he didn't inherently do something. You feel me? He didn't cheat on me. He didn't hit me. You get what I'm saying? So what? And I really do think that it's a stigma with black women in general that we have to put up with struggle love, that we have to stick through because if that narrative was put on a man like it is for a woman, there'd be a lot less toxic relationships. I promise you, but it's not. So we stay, and don't misconstrue my words, y'all. I'm not saying that there won't be conflict. I'm not saying that things won't be hard, that you won't have to work through things. But we are deserving of peaceful love. We are deserving of relationships where getting to know somebody and building a connection with somebody is ease. It's not always like trying and trying and trying. You are allowed to want more. More peace, more ease, more pull, more you. You're allowed to want that. And I'll be honest, sometimes that clarity does feel like loss. It feels like maybe you're not gonna ever find your person. That is something that you may experience. Sometimes it feels like maybe you messed up. Maybe I should have gave him a chance. Maybe he was right. And I promise you, if you decide to let go of something like I'm describing now, you're gonna have that feeling. Do not let it deter you or make you go backwards. Because later it does feel like peace, y'all. Later it feels like peace. Later it feels like, yeah, that was not for me, Jazz. Child. And you realize, I wasn't leaving him. I wasn't giving up. I was returning to myself. I felt a peace after the situation like I hadn't before. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't for me, and that's okay. That man does not have to be a walking red flag for you to leave, friend. Sometimes good isn't good enough for you, and that's okay, friend. So I just want to say, if this episode spoke to you in any way, if you ever sat in that weird in-between space of, he's not terrible, but I'm not happy. He's not a toxic man, but I just don't feel chemistry with him. I hope you know you're not alone. You're not alone. And you're not wrong for trusting your spirit more than a checklist. We got to get out of the shackles of a checklist, friend. We got to get out of the shackles of a man looking good on paper or being good on paper but not good for our spirit. Please make sure that you're subscribed to Her Revision. And don't forget to check out my Substack, y'all, for more reflections, more in-depth talking, more things that I don't say on this mic. The deeper journaling version of the podcast is things that I expressed on Substack. So go ahead and check the show notes, and my link is in there. I just want to say thank you for rocking with me. Please leave a review if you are listening. The link is in the description, y'all. I want you to know that you are allowed to revise your story as many times as you want and as many times as you can. Because if it no longer reflects who you are being, then let it go. Shed that skin. Shed the old skin of who you used to be. Because you can become a new person. I don't care what nobody says. So until next time, bye.